I'm Kelly Hogan. Welcome back to my Zero Carb Life. Today I'm in my backyard because the power to our basement is out. We do not know why. I promise it is not as simple as a trip breaker, and the electrician cannot come out for about 3 more weeks. But being out here with this very loud bird is going to go along with today's topic, so we're just going to make it work. Also, I do have long hair today. I had my hair cut back in January, but sometimes I feel like just going back to long. I know I've worn it short in the last few videos, so I just want to clarify this is not an old video and this is not my hair. I sometimes just use some clip-in hair extensions. I'm not trying to trick anyone. I just sometimes like going back to long. And today was one of those days. I'm going to move on. As an intro, I like to frequently remind people that losing weight, getting healthy, is never going to come down to some quick hack or even some amazing macro tip, probably, or wearing a weight vest. And I say this as somebody that really enjoys quick tips, macro tips, and a weight vest. I really do. But for me, getting healthy, losing weight, changing my life has involved 20 years of removing carbs and starches and everything except for meat, eggs, and possibly dairy. Now look, this has nothing to do with today's topic, but if you are struggling with a weight loss stall and you are still eating cheese, I'm just going to encourage you, drop the cheese. And I know, cheese is really good. Like a pile of burgers, but with cheese, so good. And I don't care if you keep your cheese, but if you're struggling with weight loss, this is just a total bonus, unrelated tip. I would remove the cheese. Okay. The carnivore diet has completely changed my life. I got rid of frequent and painful boils. I got off of acne medications, drastically reduced my anxiety, especially nighttime anxiety. I completely eliminated this really painful sternum pain called costochondritis. I regained my fertility, had 3 pregnancies while carnivore, gave birth to 3 babies, lowered my inflammation, and also lost 130 pounds. I did all of that without, honestly, most of the weight. I didn't even know what macros were. I had never tried a fat fast. I'd never tried an extended water fast. I still haven't. I had never even tasted a sardine during most of that time. I didn't track my ketones. I didn't own a pair of blue blockers. I had never even tried lowering my cortisol, nor did I know what cortisol was. For the majority of that weight loss, literally all I knew was, don't eat carbs. Instead, eat meat and eggs. That's it. And just through self-experimentation, I discovered, oh, well, I'll lose weight better if the meat is fresh and not processed. I don't mean never frozen. Frozen is fine. I mean whole cuts of meat, burgers, steaks, pork chops, ribs, instead of pork rinds, deli meat, pepperoni, cheese, charcuterie, right? I know I love charcuterie, but that is not what I consider, not for me at least, the optimal carnivore diet. The majority of the weight loss was simply eating real meat, removing carbs, taking walks. Yeah, that's what changed my life. So anytime I make one of these videos about anything a little more minuscule and nuanced, I just want you to know today's topic has to do with cortisol. It is a big deal. In fact, this one is a far bigger deal than some of the other little hacks I've talked about, like lymphatic massage. And some of you have said, oh my gosh, I felt so much better once I got that lymph fluid moving. Great. I've done videos about exercise and walking more and lifting weights. That's huge. I've done videos about high-fat carnivore, leaner carnivore, trying days of high protein and high fat. I talk about all of that with my group members. And it's not that it's not important. I just don't want to come on here and make it sound like all I did was did some stress work techniques and suddenly lost 130 pounds. Truly, carnivore and walking were the basis of that. And this cortisol thing, well, I do want to help explain why that matters. And I want to do that with the help of Dr. Ben Bikman.
To understand your metabolic health, you really need to understand your hormones. Of course, this includes very famous hormones like insulin, but it also includes hormones like cortisol, which is also famous and for good reason. What people don't really appreciate about cortisol, although we all appreciate that it's a stress hormone, is that cortisol's primary outcome, what cortisol wants to do more than anything else, is increase blood glucose. Of course, this puts cortisol at odds with insulin, who wants to reduce blood glucose, and thus it's no surprise that cortisol is a main cause of insulin resistance. But cortisol's effects go even further. Cortisol is so determined to increase glucose that it will start stripping proteins and turn them into amino acids to send to the liver so that the liver can turn that into glucose. But it will pull those amino acids from the skin, from the muscle, from the bones, causing thin skin, muscle wasting, and bone loss, all to increase glucose.
What a jerk. Not Dr. Bigman. Cortisol. I mean, I know cortisol is there for our own protection so that we can do amazing things in times of intense, acute stress. But if it's raising glucose, which then causes insulin to increase and is a main cause of insulin resistance, and it's pulling the amino acids from our skin, our bones, and our muscles, that's not something we want to be happening constantly. That's a problem. All right, so how can we help to fix this problem? For one thing, hydrate. Drink water, and I'll go into a little more detail later. Did you know that lifting weights, especially slow, heavy, you might think, oh, but this feels hard, and hard means high cortisol. Nope. Nay, I say. Especially with time, the more a person lifts weights, the more steady, lower, and balanced their cortisol tends to be. So don't fear the weight training. Now, as for running long, fast distances, I'm not talking quick sprints, talking long periods of running, that can increase cortisol for a lot of people. If you just absolutely love it and it makes you feel great and you're not struggling with the stress of it, enjoy your runs. That does not apply to me, and maybe it doesn't apply to you. We're going to talk some about breath work today. I have underlined and highlighted some of my favorites, but walking outside, stretching, gentle dancing, slow movements. I wonder, it says gentle dancing. What about like really wild and crazy dancing? I don't know. I haven't seen the studies on that. Prayer, gratitude, journaling, sunlight, especially in the mornings, that morning sunlight in our eyes. If you've ever heard of Dr. Huberman, then you're on it. You know. Quality sleep at night, rolling down. Oh, when it comes to sunlight in the morning, just roll down your car window. I know people say to me all the time, Kelly, I don't have time to go stand outside in the mornings. Baby, neither do I. Just roll your window down some. Let the morning sunlight get to you while you're in that car pickup line and drop off at school. Sleep, big fan of the sleep. Talking to someone that feels safe. Hugging, petting your animal, just physical touch. That's happy and not stressful, helps to lower your cortisol very quickly. Music. So when people talk about the next one is cold exposure, I don't want to do cold exposure. I do know that putting your face in a bowl of ice water in the mornings will bring down your heart rate, your blood pressure, your cortisol. Seriously, if you're willing to do that, go for that. I am willing to do some of these other things like roll down my windows, get some sleep while my windows are down, belt out some 90s music, some gospel songs. These things I'm willing to do. Love the walking. Love eating seafood for the magnesium. I know some of you may take a magnesium supplement. I don't, but I do love seafood. And then just making sure that we have nice, steady, balanced blood sugar. And carnivores, you're already rocking this out by eating plenty of protein and fat. So if you have a very effective way to manage stress, post it below. One thing I didn't say on here is how much I love crocheting. Crocheting, I find that very therapeutic. Yes, watching TV in the evening with my husband, hydrating with my seltzer water, and crocheting is a lovely thing. And we like to walk after dinners. My friend Sarah Kleiner recently posted about the fact that everybody's trying to chase supplements for stress. I don't even know what those supplements would be. I'm not taking any supplements for stress. But a new study just found that people who are assigned to be slightly dehydrated from drinking less water, that they had 55% higher cortisol spikes under stressful situations versus the hydrated group. And now this is starting to show up in mainstream media. Because this is a really recent article, this is from last month. All right, so here's the science. They split people into two different groups. They gave one group was assigned randomly to be the low water group. Another group was assigned to be the high water group. Now, for the high water group, they had just over a gallon of water per day. For those of you that speak in the form of seltzer water, that's about 12 cans of seltzer per day. And both groups reported that they felt equally stressed while they were being tested in the labs. So it didn't change how they felt about the stress. But then they checked their saliva. They checked cortisol via saliva. And the group that was drinking very little water per day, their saliva showed a 55% higher cortisol spike than the group that was drinking about a gallon of water per day. Pretty significant. I will post the study down below. Okay, now let's talk about breath work. So, what is it even supposed to do? We hear people talk all the time about breath work, breath work, breath work, and it always feels like, okay, so breathing is supposed to help with fat loss? Yes, yes, actually. So, it does help to reduce cortisol, and that is cortisol, one of its main favorite tricks. Its party trick is, hey, we're going to put that fat right on the belly, right where no one wants it. That's the spot. So it does help to bring down cortisol, improves our insulin sensitivity so that we do have less fat storage. It does support fat oxidation by allowing us to use our oxygen more efficiently. Hello, it's breath work. And you have to have oxygen to oxidize fat. So yeah, that kind of makes sense. And then it also helps to reduce overeating for some of you who may find that you have volume addiction. We've talked about that recently on the channel because it helps to regulate appetite hormones like ghrelin. And it helps us to feel our leptin, which is our satiety hormone. So bottom line on this one is breath work is not going to replace diet and lifestyle changes like movement, but it does create a hormonal metabolic behavioral environment that supports weight loss and fat reduction. So, maybe do carnivore with some movement and some breath work. If any of you think I'm full of malarkey when I talk about breath work being related to fat loss, I am going to link to 3 studies. I went over these in far more detail with my group members, but this study on Sonobi breathing, what is Sonobi breathing? It is stretching while doing slow breath in connection with the stretching. Some people would call this yoga, but it doesn't have to be yoga. Especially if you're really uncomfortable with the origins of yoga, or you would just rather it be paired with scripture. I'll link to a few channels that do these gentle movements with breath work, but with Christian music, with scripture. Stretching with Jesus is the name of one of these channels. Anyway, the obese women in the study who engaged in the stretching and slow breath work at the same time, they actually experienced an average loss of 3.2% body fat over the course of 1 month. The group that was randomly assigned to not do the stretching and breath work, so yeah, to put it in 2 groups, the breath work group lost the body fat. The one that changed nothing, guess what? They changed nothing. So yeah. Study number 2 took 82 healthy people, so not a huge study, but they divided them in half. One group was assigned to do 10 minutes of breath work a day. They did 5 minutes every morning, 5 minutes every night. And at the end of the study, they had to do it for 6 days per week. At the end of the study, pulmonary lung function improved. This was not just, you look like you're breathing easier. They did a wide variety of heart tests, lung tests, but also the group that was assigned to the 10 minutes of breath work lost statistically significant more weight during the course of the study than the control group. In the third study, which was also small, this was just 38 people, but they participated in deep diaphragmic breathing, which if you're a singer, you already know all about. Use your diaphragm. And they experienced higher resting metabolic rate. Whoa now. The people who participated in the breathwork, randomly assigned, actually saw their resting metabolic rate go up. Well, that's kind of cool, right? Don't worry. I'm linking the study below. Now, if this breathwork thing is all that good, then I suggest that we take about 1 minute to do it together. I will link to the full video, which is, I think, 12 minutes long. But about once a month, I do this with my group members also. So if you're willing to join me, let's go. So you can put one finger on one side, thumb, finger, however you want to do it. Fingers, use your toes if you're super bendy. But when he says to inhale, he'll show the X on the one that you push down. And then when he says to switch, you kind of just pause your breath. So just hold it and then switch, and he'll tell you to exhale. I think you'll get it. The first time I did this video, I was like, what is happening? Okay. Now I've learned when you breathe in, you switch at the top, you breathe it out. Then you stay there, you switch at the top, you breathe it out. It becomes easy for me now. It can be a lovely thing to do while you're in your car feeling a little stressed out. It can be and I do it with one hand, right? You can do it with your non-dominant hand while you're driving and jamming out to your 80s music with the window rolled down. Put it on the list. You can do it right before bed. Calm down. You can do it before a meal if you're having some digestive troubles. Yeah, do it on the toilet. Whatever. Okay, I came across this little meme and had to giggle. The only thing you need to understand about me is that I just tried to listen to calming guided meditation on 1.5 speed. So if you're thinking, I don't have time to breathe, I don't have time for breath work, maybe you need to do it twice as long, actually, because I do enjoy listening to YouTube videos and podcasts on 1.5 or 2x speed. I've been known to take some people's videos at 3x because chop chop. But in general, doing breath work, yes, take a minute. Do it at 1x. I think it's more effective that way. When I did a talk with Bitten Johnson recently, she talked about the power of bird song. You may have heard some bird song during this video, but I wanted to look up some research about it, and it found that people who were exposed to bird song reported lower anxiety, greater relaxation, that it helped the body to recover more quickly after stress, lowered their heart rate, calmed the nervous system. So yeah, if you were looking for another reason to go outside, take the walk, listen to the birds, there you go. Okay, here's another Sarah Kleiner post. I will post the link to that below, but morning light matters. If you know Sarah, you know she is a very big fan of the morning light, and it's not just because she enjoys it. She has a lot of research on the topic. So in this study, it was all overweight participants, both men and women in this study, and they all were put on a calorie deficit. They all had to walk the same amount per week, so 30 minutes 3 times a week. So 90 minutes for the whole week of walking. And participants in this group, randomly assigned, were the bright light group. They had to get at least 10,000 lux of morning light, 30 minutes every morning. And if you're wondering, oh gosh, do I need to buy one of those super bright, happy light boxes? No, just step outside. Even if it is not the middle of the day, even if it's barely light, even if it's cloudy, even if it's rainy, you will get 10,000 lux. And if you don't want to stand on your front porch, roll down the window. Doesn't have to be so much that it completely ruins your hair on the way to work. Just crack your window, crack the sunroof. If you have a sunroof, the light will come in. You don't have to be staring straight up in order to get the benefits. Anyway, that group, so reduced calorie diet, walking 90 minutes a week, 30 minutes of bright light every morning, they lost on average 19 pounds in 8 weeks. This group, exact same calorie deficit. This group, exact same walking routine. This group, do not get the 10,000 lux. Do not go outside for your 30 minutes. Just carry on with your normal sit in the dark, scroll on your phone morning routine. They still lost weight, 9 pounds in 8 weeks. I'm going to guess that is because they had reduced their calories and they were walking more. Two pretty well-known strategies, but more than twice as much weight loss for the group that just simply got morning light. Okay, I just checked the time and realized I've got to get somewhere. So I'm going to try to wrap this up. In general, what I'm saying is changing your food, huge. Made all the difference for me. Adding in some walks. Yeah, baby. Take it up a notch. But even if you're doing those things, the level of stress that we put ourselves under, either from dehydration or sitting all day, staring at bright light, which triggers cortisol, getting little sleep, being exposed to toxins. So if you're living in a house with mold and you're expecting your cortisol to come down and to heal and to lose weight, we got to get away from the stressors. If you're working a job all day, every day that you absolutely hate around people who are negative and toxic, and then you come home to a relationship that doesn't make you want to have that physical contact. I mean, we're expecting a lot from steak and a walk. I love steak and a walk, but this really is a big ask if we're not willing to make some lifestyle changes to also allow our bodies to heal. So if you were to say to me, Kelly, I cannot change my job, I cannot change my marriage, I cannot change the stressful kid situation, I can't change my finances. Okay, maybe that is true. I don't know. We can change our hydration. We can change the amount of time that we get outside. We can change whether or not you ride to work with your window up or cracked or the sunroof open. We can change what we eat. You are completely in charge of that unless this is a hostage situation. I assume that you're in charge of your food. I assume that you could take a 10-minute walk at some point during the day. If that's not a possibility, then some hand weights, some squats next to your office chair. Some of these things we can control. Could you play bird song at night while you sleep? Could you do some breath work as you're lying in bed about to fall asleep? Could you turn the phone off 8 to 9 hours before you have to be up the next morning? Could you take some time to journal, pray, go on the walk with some either nice music or prayer time, talk out what you're going through with somebody, join a group who gets it? I know, me, always with the group thing. But yeah, it really helps to surround yourself with people who understand what you're going through. People where at the end of the day, you can go onto the page. We have a private page where it is password protected and people share their innermost thoughts because we can get it out with people who, don't know your mama, don't know your kids or your boss, and you can just be really open and honest. I love that. So I would encourage you to control and change the things that we can. And in case you've been living under a rock, which I don't even know why this rock is sitting here, but let's use it. In case you've been living under a rock and you still do not believe that stress and cortisol matter as long as you're a carnivore, I've got a quick story before I go. One of my very good friends, Dana, we have met in person multiple times, but we have mostly been online friends for many, many years. She has been a very consistent, I don't like the word strict, but let's go ahead and use it in this case, strict carnivore for longer than I have. So that's a long time. She, several years into her carnivore journey, she was looking good. I mean, bikini on Facebook page good. And she is several years older than I am, and I'm 46. I don't know her age, but let's go with now mid-50s. At that point, she was putting on weight quickly. She was a total carnivore. She gained 40 pounds out of nowhere. And the rest of us carnivores are sitting back like, what's going on here? She says she's not cheating. She says she's not cheating. But also, like, if she's not, this does not say good things for carnivore because she had lost weight, was looking good, and then poof, it came back. Well, she shared that there was a lot more going on. There were family struggles. Her business was collapsing. Struggles not just at the marriage and kids, also parent. There were so many things that were going way sideways. So she finally went and talked to a therapist, even though she really did not want to talk to a therapist. And this therapist thankfully said, listen, are there any moments during the day when you feel any sense of peace? And she said, well, on days when I can go outside and just walk around the property, she had a wooded area. She said, I do feel better on those days. He said, then I need you to do it every day. If you can get out there twice a day, just get out there, get peace when you can, breathe. She was obviously talking this out with a therapist, but he encouraged her keep talking to other people as well. And by George, she did not have to change her diet. Oh, except she did add some fish, omega-3s. I didn't even mention that before, did I? Omega-3s help with cortisol. So she added some fish to her normal beefy carnivore diet. She added some quiet, peaceful time outside. The 40 pounds came back off. She did not have to adjust her macros. She didn't have to suddenly start skipping meals. She did no intermittent fasting, no extended fasting. She ate when she was hungry, and the weight came back off. And I have personally seen in myself and many group members when a stressful event is coming up, whether it's, oh my gosh, I'm planning my son's wedding. Sometimes our food goes awry. Sometimes it's like, I'm stressed, so now I'm just going to eat all the things. But sometimes people say, I haven't changed anything and I'm putting on weight. Sometimes caregivers say, oh my word, the caregiving has been much more intense lately. I'm not getting sleep. I can't even get a breath to myself, and the weight is coming on. Yes, because how safe our body feels will contribute to its ability to simply say, you know what? I don't think we're in a state of fear and famine. I think we can let go of some of this body fat. I don't think we need to hang on to it because it's the only hydration on our entire body. I don't think we have to hang on to it because food is scarce. Undereating is very stressful to your body. I may have mentioned that 4,200 times before. But if you are feeding yourself well, hydrating well, getting some sleep, doing some breath work, talking it out, getting outside, doing something that makes you feel calm and at peace. Maybe that's crocheting. I had to learn from a book that I bought at Walmart. Now we've got YouTube, right? Or maybe it's just listening to some bird song and sitting outside, eating a beautiful piece of steak, and being grateful that we have another day to try. These are all great things. I sincerely hope something here was helpful. If you would like to work on these kind of things, but with other people who have been there, done that, and who would like to do the work alongside of you, I would love to see you in the groups. For now, I gotta hit the road, and I will see you back next Saturday. Okay, bye.